All right, everybody. I got most of what I needed done here. This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1, and welcome to an unscheduled Sunday marathon. And basically, the only reason I'm in here is I want to discuss something. Hold on just a second. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I thought I had that at all. Come on. Okay. Yeah, I turned my headphone monitor off because it confuses me. And I'm easily confused. So I got to do what I can not to be confused. So let's see if this is going to work. And no, it's not going to work. That's because I'm on number 3, not number 4. Yeah, I'll put the loop on number 4. And yes, it works. Anyway. Alright, got that part figured out. Remember the case currently in Broward County. Is that the charge like Fields has? Now, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. The charges that Field has are of aggravated stalking. And this thing is really giving me fits tonight. And let's see. I thought I had this worked out. I guess I don't. Alright, I'll put me on number 3. Okay, and I'll put Wolfie on number 3. And me on number 2. And I will put me on number 1. Okay, I guess me and Wolfie are going to have the same problem we had the other night. Nope. Well, phooey. Yeah, I go through this every night. I had this thing all set up, and then this thing decides it don't want to work. One of these days, I'm going to get the software down. Right now, you're seeing a blank screen because I'm off in Netherlands again. Alright, I guess this is going to have to do for now. Now, what I said I was going to, I'm going to shrink it down. The problem is what's happening is I'm supposed to have Wolfie as a background image, and it's not working. Because it doesn't matter what size I am in the primary image, that is supposed to show up. And it's not, so let me shrink me down. Whoop, bring me to about there. Bring me over there. And I want to see, now what I want to do is be able to bring in, I've got a group of slides that I want to discuss tonight. And that's what I'm going to be trying to work on here. And I see one thing is going on here. Get this out of the way. I got that straightened out. Let me bring this over. Bring this over. My monitor screen's too narrow. Because I was going to fix this, and as always the case, as is always the case, I got tied up. So let's see, I got that one, kidnapped. The judge. Okay, that's probably all I'm going to be able to do because the rocket went up at 7:18 this afternoon. The Starlink rocket was canceled. The NORL heavy launch has been canceled until next week because they had some kind of mechanical issue and that got canceled. So as you'll see on my live stream, it basically went until I shut it off. And I'm going to edit it eventually, probably tomorrow. But I've got I got a heavy week coming up tomorrow, and for the next 2 weeks I'm going to be preparing for the Chaos Project, which is going to begin the 14th. I'll do a live stream on the 12th or the 13th, more than likely on the 12th, explaining what's going to happen with the Chaos Project. But to break it down as a simple format, it's going to be a 5-part series. It's going to go Monday through Friday. The reason it says rocket launch is because I'm reusing the old webcast, so sorry about that. When I edit the video, I'm going to change the title. I started up in a hurry and did not change the title, so it used the my key and everything else from yesterday, or from the broadcast the other day, so completely ignore that. That's a technical issue on my part. When it goes into record, that will be changed. But tonight's subject is the final scheduled discussion of TCH. Now, I posted earlier that it is my opinion that TCH is no longer alive, is likely not alive, and the reason for that is something I saw on the Patrick Henry account. Now, TCH has been missing since at least the first week in August, and likely earlier than that. Now, the reason I say that is the last live stream from TCH was, I would gather, way back in either May or July. The last text entry from TCH in his name was the 6th of August. Since the 6th of August, there has been nothing with his signature on it. It's all been proxies. It's either been the task force, it's been Patrick Henry primarily, and a couple women that have been listed as bylines on his blog, but nothing from him himself. He has also not done any live streams. He has not done anything out of his car. There's been nothing recorded of any recent stuff on Facebook, where he normally posts his videos. There's nothing on BitChute, nothing on anywhere. He is completely vanished. Now, the excuse that's coming out is that he has gone dark. I don't think that's the case. I think it's something else. Now, to examine this, as you remember, on or about July 26th, the Patrick Henry account published an article on his blog. And one of the things he put up here was, okay, I don't have that slide, so be patient with me. I gotta go into my software and see if I can find it. Because he makes some interesting claims, or at least this quote-unquote Patrick Henry does. Patrick Henry largely took stuff from his okay, now let's see, where is it? Broken ribs, kidnapped. Okay, well, I'm just going to put these up in random. We're going to discuss these in random, I guess. Now, the first thing he did, of course, is he made a claim that he had pictures taken from his house by Hillary associates. Now there's a problem. There's a couple of problems with this. First of all, what had happened here was that Randy Lynn Erickson made a power play. And it's alleged that she told Tim Holmseth that Chad Cater or Tom Morrissey or both had told Kim Picasio where he was alleged to be hiding. Then what apparently happened, the story, Tim turned on these two, and one of the first things that came out was that he accused somebody of stealing pictures that he had taken. And the reason this happened is because somehow pictures began to circulate on the internet, one of which shows his son dressed up like a girl. His son is young, very young in these pictures, dressed up as a girl. He is kneeling next to him with his arm around his shoulder. In the background, there is a woman who the only thing you see is her arm and part of her head in the doorway of what was likely the kitchen of the apartment. And then somebody else took the picture. So you had two women, Tim Holmseth and his son, that were part of this picture. Now, I have determined by many different sources that what it apparently is likely more to have happened was that someone, probably the person that took the picture, shared the photographs, and somebody somehow got a hold of the photographs and published them. Because it's slipped one or two times that Tim shared the photographs. So if Tim shared the photograph, then the story of the photographs being taken from the home is false. So that's number one. And then number two, we come to, let's see, this is another accusation that Tim has made is that his employers were systematically contacted, harassed anonymously until they fire him. Domino's Pizza in Grand Forks, North Dakota, was the only business that refused to fire Timothy. Domino's called the courthouse to see if reports being made about him were true, and the courthouse told Domino's it was all false. Tim is gang stalked by Hillary's operatives to this very day. Now, there's a problem with that story. I don't know how many of you people know anything about the pizza delivery business and how it works. But for tax reasons, when you have an associate, which is what they're called, of Domino's, Papa John's, and any other pizza establishment, these people are not employees. They are independent contractor. They supply their own personal automobile. They supply the gas. They get paid by Domino's, plus they make tips to deliver the pizzas. This is what's known as a 1099. Oh, Randy has shown up? Well, that's good. I see she's still not using her own name. Be sure to take pictures, folks, because Randy has a habit of deleting her comments right after she makes them. She does this all the time. Anyway, getting back to the topic on hand. As I said, Domino's hires 1099 associates that drive their own cars. These means these people fill out their own taxes. They're an independent contractor. They're not employees. And the reason that Domino's wouldn't fire Timothy, if the story is true, is because pizza delivery drivers are extremely hard to get. They don't make very much money. They have a tendency to leave. Well, number one, that's false, task force. Number two, if it's true, Timothy Charles Holmseth and you have nothing to do with the rescues. You are simply repeating stuff that you see in the news. The Pentagon Pedophile Task Force is a fraud. They are stealing from their gullible followers. Getting back to the subject at hand, which I see Task Force is not bothering to comment about. Now, one of the excuses that Tim Holmseth uses is that he was kidnapped by a foreign power. Now, this story is kind of weird in that, remember, Tim Holmseth is basically an unemployed pizza delivery driver, yet he comes across like the most important person in the United States. But he's not mentioned at the Republican convention. He's not mentioned by Trump at all. He's not mentioned by anyone of any power. Yet Tim Holmseth is presenting himself as this all-important third person to the President of the United States, being a member of this super-duper secret Pentagon pile of shit task force, and able to give out all the so-called secret information, which has never, ever been verified. And the idiots that believe this crap. And Randy Erickson, for whatever reason, decided to play on people's ignorance. And let's see what this one is. Okay, we've done that one. Now this is kind of weird. Okay. Timothy Holmseth was robbed by, well, Lord, why didn't that, trying to find out. Okay, there's one stupid one up here that I'm trying to get up. Okay, here we go. Timothy Holmseth was falsely imprisoned by a private for-profit prison. His captors repeatedly tried to make him sign a confession. He would not. He was tortured. He lost approximately 30 pounds. After he escaped his captors, he went to the doctor. X-rays were taken at the doctor, show that he had broken ribs. He never confessed to anything. Now, the interesting thing about this claim is it was never reported. There are no X-rays, no statement from the doctor, nothing. It's all made up. This didn't happen. He's a liar once again. You know, this is what people don't seem to understand, that Tim Holmseth makes all this stuff up. He never gives any proof of this stuff. And, you know, it's stupid. That's all I can say. Yeah, it's really stupid. Now, the one thing, the slide that I wanted to show you, and isn't coming up, is an interesting one. Tim Holmseth claims that he was poisoned by ricin 4 times. Now, people, if you do your research, you're going to find that people that have been poisoned 4 times by ricin don't have a chance of survival. They're going to die. D-I-E. Task Force, there is no such person. The PPTF is a fraud. You are a liar. And, by the way, Task Force has been identified as Randy Lynn Erickson, of the state of Minnesota. She refuses to use her own name. She also changes her middle name on Facebook to Q, even though her real name is Randy Lynn Erickson. And before the evening is out, she is more than likely going to delete her post. But, unfortunately for her, I have captured the page and I am going to keep this text because, boom. Okay, Randy, no point in deleting your post because it is now on my hard drive. R-A-N-D-I-D-O-G, Randy Dog. Anybody that wants a copy of this, I'll be glad to give it to them. But you can delete it now if you want. I've got the screenshot, Randy. You know, because what you're doing is slander and defamation of character. You can be sued, and since you're a wealthy real estate broker, you have enough capital assets to justify a contingency lawyer to sue you. So I hope you get sued. And Al Kennedy, I will forward this to your, well, I have nothing to hide. There's nothing illegal about what I'm doing here. And she can't file task force, or Patrick Henry, or whatever the fuck his name is, can't file any grievance because this is fair use. And it's in the public interest, and if they try anything, I've got Randy's response archived, and I'll just turn around and use it. I'll use the same defense, because by Randy doing that, she's basically given anybody free rein to copy anything on any of the channels. So everybody go over and they can copy every single solitary thing that is on the High Command, that is on Task Force 2, and all these other pages because it's fair use in the public interest. Randy L. Erickson is a public figure. She is the founder, organizer, and administrator of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And since that is claimed to be part of the United States government, none of the normal restrictions that will apply to a non-famous person, non-public figure, applies. She cannot use any of those protections because she is accountable to the United States and to the public because she is basically representing a government agency of the United States. So until she admits otherwise, she's stuck. And, it doesn't matter how many cartoons she puts up over on Facebook and links and everything, But, so much for that. But getting back to Tim Holmseth. Now, since Tim Holmseth claims to have been poisoned and all these other things happened to him, and since he hasn't been seen since August, it is my contention and strong opinion that Timothy Charles Holmseth is dead and has been dead since the 1st of August at the latest, and possibly before that. So, I just, this is why, unless something drastic happens in the next month or two, the subject of Timothy Charles Holmseth is closed. The format of this channel is going to change completely as of the 1st of this month. Now, cases like Cynthia Absug, Bill McConnell, the case out of Kentucky, and others will be discussed. Yes, Nan, I believe that Timothy Charles Holmseth is deceased. He's probably got a cinder block wrapped around his feet, and he's in the bottom of one of Minnesota's 1,000 lakes, or even the Great Lakes. Because it's been established that he was living in and around the city of Minneapolis. He never left Minneapolis. As to why he's dead, that's hard to question. I have a feeling he outlived his usefulness. It's rumored that he was going to testify against the handlers and against people because he's in serious trouble in the state of Colorado. He's also a prosecution witness in the case of Field McConnell. I don't think he's living in a car. If he was living in a car, he would be on the internet. He has a laptop computer. He's capable of getting on Wi-Fi and streaming through restaurants. So if Tim Holmseth were alive, he would have been on the air making all kinds of recordings and, bolstering his fame. It is out of Tim Holmseth's nature not to be on the internet seeking attention. Timothy Charles Holmseth was a attention whore. He lived for the attention. He would come up with increasingly big fish stories in order to get his attention going. He had, at last count, $717 a month in Patreon pledges. So he was making $717 for nothing more than making stuff up out of thin air and live streaming out of his car. And the problem with when you go dark, people's attention starts to drift. They say, well, this guy's not around anymore. Why bother with him? So I have a feeling that something may have happened where people said, well, since you're not of any use to us anymore, you might as well die. Because, you could... Now remember, Tim Holmseth turned on his two best friends. He stated quite clearly that, his friends were pedophiles and so on and so forth. So if Tim Holmseth could turn on his closest friends, he could turn on anybody. And the people behind all these... all right, that's not going to work. I'm still searching for the one slide. Yeah, that's true, Golden Mare. Dead people don't talk. Tim Holmseth has a lot of information. And if Tim Holmseth were making it known that he just might confess to crimes or testify in the Absug case, testify in the McConnell case, or turn state's evidence in return for deals, or maybe he thought he could make himself famous by saying, I was betrayed, and, this is why, that maybe he could escape prosecution. Let's see, where is... Kidnap... Okay, this might be it. Because two things came up. And let's see where it is. Finally found the slide I was looking for. It's kind of hard without my glasses. Now, one of the things that came out in the article was this interesting tidbit. Timothy Holmseth was poisoned 4 times. It is believed he was poisoned with ricin. He barely survived. Timothy Holmseth's computer was seized during a violent raid by police in East Grand Forks, Minnesota, and destroyed. Timothy had backups. Now this is major here. Timothy's teenage daughter, who was undressed in the bathroom, was assaulted by a police officer during the raid. Timothy Holmseth's vehicle was broken into in what appeared to be an attempt to plant narcotics on Timothy. His tires were also slashed. Now, what Patrick Henry did not mention was that Timothy Holmseth maintained that Vice President Mike Pence flew to Minnesota with the express purpose of arranging to have Tim Holmseth assassinated. While since Tim Holmseth has not been seen in public on the air, Vice President Pence may have succeeded in assassinating him. Maybe the police department, who Tim Holmseth accuses of beating him up, assassinated him. Maybe the police officer that Tim Holmseth accuses of raping his naked daughter assassinated him. It's these factors and many others where it's my opinion that Timothy Charles Holmseth is likely dead, tied to a cinder block somewhere in the bottom of one of the 1,000 lakes in Minnesota, because he has named at least 20 reasons for him to be dead. Well, Nat, we don't know. Remember, Timothy Charles Holmseth claims to be a spokesperson for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, and he has made accusations against Mike Pence that have gone back a couple of years. He's made accusations against everybody. He has probably 500 people who would like to see him dead right now. And for that reason, I have to assume that he is dead. Because if Timothy Charles Holmseth was alive, he would find a way to let the public know. You know, it's not any more crazy than Timothy Charles Holmseth claiming to be third in line to the President of the United States and a spokesman for this super duper secret agency going around and saving 100,000 kids from tunnels. You know, if anybody wants to believe crap like that, then people would have to believe that Timothy Charles Holmseth is likely dead. Now, Patrick Henry over on Facebook has given the reasons why Timothy Charles Holmseth is probably dead. Sharp as attack. Are you telling me that you believe that Timothy Charles Holmseth is third in line to the President of the United States? You know, what I'm saying is it's possible. And sharp as attack, what other reason would Tim Holmseth have for not showing up? Everybody in this room knows that Timothy Holmseth loves attention. Timothy Holmseth goes on the air, writes on his Facebook, writes on his blog all these fishtails because he wants the attention. But he's not there. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, with Tim's name in the byline anywhere on the internet after the 6th of August of this year. This is the 30th of August. Tomorrow's the 31st of August. Tim's nowhere to be found. For Tim to be laying low this long is very unlikely, simply because he loves the attention. The longest that Tim Holmseth has ever been off the air is a week and a half. We are over 2 weeks. Do the math. Why isn't he writing on a byline? Timothy Holmseth claims to work for the highest echelons of the government. He could get a hold of an encrypted modem or encrypted devices to hide his presence on the internet. There's all different ways of hiding yourself on the internet. Nobody will know where you're at on any given moment. You know, remember what Tim Holmseth is claiming here. He's claiming to have been poisoned 4 times with rice. He's claiming that the Vice President of the United States wants him killed. He even claimed that a guy who flattened his tire was trying to kill him. He's made claims that law enforcement broke into his car and was attempting to hide a controlled substance in there so they could arrest him and throw him in jail. He's claimed to have been beaten up by the cops in a for-private prison. And he managed somehow, with his super-duper MacGyver skills, to escape the prison. Now, he claims that a law enforcement officer raped his naked daughter while they were invading his house, taking all his proof of this big, huge nationwide case and destroyed him. This is what he claims, folks. I have to go based on the evidence that's out there. This is circumstantial evidence. It's probable cause. You know, do I believe this? No. But I entertain the possibility because this is possible. You know, when you think of what Tim Holmseth has been claiming for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden he just, poof, he's gone. You know, there's that possibility. You know, this speculation could end today. If Tim Holmseth were to get in his car, go down to a Wi-Fi center and get on the air and saying, filthy murder's wrong. I'm right here. I'm alive. I'm on assignment. I'm this. I'm that. And make it known that it's current, not some video that was made a month ago. You know, sharpest attack. You know, it doesn't, you know, if Tim Holmseth is permanently off the internet, it's party time. I don't care if he ever shows up. Well, that's a possibility. He could have COVID and is in isolation. But the thing you got to remember is you only go in isolation for 2 weeks. Once you go into a hospital, somebody's going to know it. The parents are going to know it. His daughter's going to know it. His sister's going to know it. The whole broad family is going to know whether or not he has this disease. Yeah, that's one of the things that I heard. I've heard all kinds of things. You know, there is the possibility he has COVID. And if he has COVID, it's going to be very difficult to get that information. But eventually, it's going to get out. And the thing of it is, if he has COVID, the more he remains out of the spotlight, the more likely it is that he's dead or is dying. Because COVID is a serious disease, or a serious affliction. And here's another thing. Say he's got COVID. Remember, Randy Erickson and the others declare that COVID is a hoax. It's made up. As recently as today, she put up a thing on her Facebook saying, do not get tested for COVID. It's a big fraud. So, that kind of puts a damper on the COVID theory. Now, it's possible, like everything else is possible, that he has a serious illness of some kind that's got him out of circulation. And eventually, if that is the case, we are going to find out. But there's been no word. Nobody has given a reason other than he's on assignment for Tim Holmseth to be AWOL. Now, unless or until somebody says something, we're not going to know. And I just have to believe that Tim Holmseth is likely in a serious medical situation. I'm trying to bring Whoopi on the screen. I'm not having very good luck. Hi, Whoopi. Let's see, what can I do here? I'll do number 4. Well, that didn't work. Now we got Whoopi, but not me. Well, shoot. Well, I guess the only way I can do it is to dump these slides. All right, now let's see if I can get Whoopi back up here. There's Whoopi. I'm gone. Whoopi's gone. There I am. We're playing the same game we played the other night. Poor Whoopi. Poor Whoopi's having a hard time tonight. Well, shoot. Well, I'm just gonna... Well, anyway, everybody got to say hi to Whoopi, so... Well, it doesn't really matter. You know, another thing that's come up is that was claimed by this person in Patrick Henry is that Tim Holmseth is registered to vote and is legally able to vote. Well, there's a problem. See, he still has his address listed as the apartment he no longer lives in. So if Tim Holmseth votes using that address, he is committing voter fraud. And that's, and there's ways of finding out if somebody voted or not. So, come November 4th, people will know if Tim Holmseth voted and what address he used. And if he uses the address in Minnesota where his apartment is, he's committed voter fraud. And a complaint will be made accordingly to, at a minimum, invalidate his vote. Now, Randy L. Erickson and Patrick Henry, Task Force, this could all be put to rest if they can get Timothy Charles Holmseth on screen talking about something that's current as of today. Not yesterday, not last week, not a month ago. Today or yesterday, within the last 48 to 72 hours. Something that only would have come into play now. Not some story about tunnels, not some story about the task force or anything else. Something current to talk about today. He could talk about Portland. He could talk about Wausau, Wisconsin. He could talk about anything current. But if he gets into talking about 3,500 kids in a tunnel in California, it's not going to wash, because that's old news. That could be an edited tape from long ago. So, the ball is in their court. If they want to end this and prove me wrong, get Tim Holmseth on video. Simple as that. It'll end this in 5 minutes. The longer they wait, the longer they delay, the speculation remains that Tim Holmseth is deceased. And that is my contention. That one can only think he's deceased because he's not, he's not around. It is very difficult in this day and age to hide from the public. People are going to see it. They're going to see the car. They're going to see you. People with the capability are going to be able to trace you electronically, to at least know you're around. So this business of Tim Holmseth still being alive and on some kind of assignment isn't going to cut it. No matter what they report on these various pages, now they're saying Karen Pence is a clone. This is the thing. If people can go around saying that Karen Pence is being cloned, then there's no reason I can't speculate that Tim Holmseth is dead, because anything is possible with these Q idiots. We've had Karen Pence cloned. We've had Mike Pence cloned. There was one time when they said Hillary had been cloned. Everybody's been cloned. For all we know, I'm cloned. That'll be the next thing out of these yo-yos, is that I'm a clone. Even though the technology hasn't been developed yet. Let's see. Okay. Demon caught on tape for real. So, all right. Boy, she vanished in a hurry. Task force went poof, like right away. So, that's why starting Monday, it's Tuesday, since tomorrow is the 30th last day in September. Tim Holmseth is not going to be the main topic of discussion. I might, if I'm able to, start getting material from the Mesa project up. The Townie project will be coming up. The T10 project will be coming up. And these are completely different. I'm going to be doing a segment on the murder on the Townie. So there's about 4 things I'm going to try and get in before the 14th of September. That's what he claims. Yeah, remember, Tim Holmseth claims that the lieutenant colonel that turned into a whistleblower was a lizard person. He's talked about mole people, fish people, all kinds of crap. So, and cloning is something that's been around for at least a couple of years. This is not the first time that they've talked about cloning. This is crazy shit that comes out of QAnon that these people latch onto. So, you know, and Tim Holmseth looks like a lizard, so, you know, anything's possible. You know, maybe Tim Holmseth was a lizard person and he went back home. He might have gone up in that rocket that went up this afternoon, and he's secretly going to board a rocket to Mars to try and find the slave colony on Mars. Maybe that's what happened to him. Oh, geez, I don't know. There's so many people that talk about cloning, I can't keep track of them all. But this is a big QAnon thing. See, QAnon comes up with all this crazy shit. And QAnon is a lot like Anonymous. You can be anonymous, and you could be one person. You could be a dozen people. You could have your own agenda and everything. And this QAnon is the same thing. There's not one person. It's a fantasy that somehow came out of 4chan as a joke, and everybody's latched onto it, you know. And it's funny that someone will believe that there is an individual out there with all these credentials and not ask for any proof. And it all boils down to because they believe in the same politics. They believe them. All this deep state shit and everything, it's all on the right wing. Nobody on the left side of the political spectrum believe in any of this QAnon shit for the simple reason that it is all right-wing Republican, pro-Trump, conservative philosophy. If QAnon had been politically neutral, they would have had a wider audience. But they realize that it's the far right that is the ones that are dumb enough to fall for this stuff because it's pro-Trump, pro their agenda. And so they latch onto it. This has been the case for decades, that all this conspiracy crap that comes out, it's always the right that feeds into it. And before Tim Holmseth came up with this stupid task force thing, he was involved in this flaky organization over in England, and he was supposed to fly on a big airplane, go over there and testify, and it never materialized. And it's the same idiot that is the one that started the rumor about the Mars colony. You go back and check all this stuff. And it's this guy put Tim Holmseth in contact with that moron of an attorney out of Virginia that is suing an online cow. And I was named in a lawsuit by Holmseth, and the case was thrown out. Yeah, Robert David Steele. He's not, you know, and BIS is not licensed to practice in the state of Florida as an attorney. And Tim Holmseth would have had to come to Florida and plead his case down here. And since Tim Holmseth doesn't want to plead his case in Florida, he let it go. So the guy wasted his time for no reason. You know, a year's worth of work went down the tubes. And it cost me a bundle of money to fight this thing. Because I had to shell out for the attorney that represented the defense against this clown. You know, it's part of my stake in this. So, yeah, and it's money I couldn't afford. Tim Holmseth was last seen on a video. I would have to go back through the archives, but way back in either May or July. And he has not, and it was in a house with a white wall. And he was not seen in Polk County, Minnesota, because he would be arrested the second he got there. As long as he stays out of Polk County, Minnesota, in the northwestern part of Minnesota, he will not be arrested. And since he's probably dead, it's likely he's not going to be arrested. Oh, yeah, people are going to claim that he's anywhere, but there's no proof. See, this is the thing. You could say he's in San Francisco. You could say he's over in England. You could say he's anywhere. Prove it. Put him on the goddamn screen with either a current New York Times in his hand or something current as proof of life. There's no missing person reports because nobody cares. You know, they come up with a cover story. All they do, you know, there's Randy and all these other people say he's on assignment. Well, if he's on assignment and he's an adult, who's going to be looking for him? Nobody. The family isn't going to care because they believe all this crap. You know, Tim Holmseth's adoptive mother and father are going to assume that he's on assignment. They believe all this stuff. They're just as bad as the rest of them. And, you know, so nobody's going to file a missing persons report. It has to be a blood relative that files the report. So, he's not going to come to Cleveland. They might as well forget that. You know, he's missing and presumed dead. Perfect defense to get out of a court case. Well, he's got a mother, father, sister, and a daughter, and a son that we know of. And then there's a broader network of supporters. So he's got plenty of people out there. But everybody believes he's on assignment somewhere. And it's a perfect cover. If you kill somebody, you just say, oh, they're on assignment. Until somebody out magnet fishing or, you know, you get these treasure hunters that go out with grappling hooks on these lakes and maybe they'll snare them one of these days. Well, see, there you go, Levi. If his father's going to talk smack about me, then he's just as brainwashed as Timmy is. You know, if he thinks that Tim is the spokesman for the government of the United States, and that guy's just as much of a whack job as his son is. And now we know why Tim gets away with this stuff. His father, his adopted father, is a enabler. You know, his father could have helped Tim Holmseth get everything resolved, but he's, you know, if he's supporting Tim in all this crap, he's just making matters worse. You know, his father must not be very concerned because you don't see him going around saying, hey, anybody knows where my son is? You know? You know, and it's, in this modern age, it's, you know, it's easy to make up audio recordings pretending there's voice changers out there. Tim has brought this up before, that people are using voice changers and all this stuff, and Photoshop stuff and this and that and the other thing. So he's already given excuses for how people could use these various technologies to pretend it's him and he not be of room temperature. He's pushing daisies or fish food somewhere. Although I don't know if a fish it would be crazy enough to eat him unless it's one of those fish people. So, we're in the world of conspiracy theorists here. So, they believe anything. So it's not as far-fetched as it would normally be for someone to go around and declare that Tim Charles Holmseth is dead. It's as simple as that. I mean, these people want conspiracy theories thrown at them, then there they are. They got one. Randy Q. Erickson, I think, said it. Patrick Henry. The on assignment excuse came about a long time ago. About the first few days he vanished. And it's always an excuse they use when he disappears, as he is on assignment. But for someone that's on assignment, he's not reporting very much. So, if, and I say if, he is alive when he does show up, he's going to have one hell of an excuse for being gone this long. And I'm sure Randy or somebody else is working right now on that excuse. He's done it twice. Nonsense. I can't remember exactly when the last time was, but he vanished for about a week, and then he showed up saying he was on assignment, and I think that's when all this 35,000 kids in the caves in California came about. And by the way, Nan, the reason your state is up in flames right now is the United States Marines are burning up tunnels underneath the state of California. So they had to set the fires to cover all this up. So people that have died and lost everything in these fires, it's just too darn bad. They had to do it to save the kids, according to Tim Holmseth. He did this the last time with the fires. He said all these fires and earthquakes and everything going on are the U.S. Marines going around and blowing up all these caves where these children are being held. Yeah, that's what he's doing. That's what he claims. He's claiming they set fires in the state of California to cover up all these actions that are going on with all these kids. This is the kind of stuff he makes up. Well, if he was in Oregon with David Strait, there's been no proof of it. There's been nothing from David Strait. There's been nothing from anybody. Now, Ned, if you had followed this enough, you would understand. Tim Holmseth is a guy that believes that he is third in line to the President of the United States, and that the information he gives out on his blog is information garnered from President Trump through the postmaster of the world, who is this idiot out in the Northwest. But, the thing of it is everything that I've said is on. If you go to timothycharlesholmseth.com, you can read all of this stuff. Tim Holmseth has been spewing out this nonsense since the Haley Cummings case, which is where all this has started. His latest thing with Haley Cummings is right up here on this slide I'm going to bring up. This has to do with Haley Cummings, Nan. Let me get my glasses on here. Timothy Holmseth, many years ago, unable to receive assistance from an attorney, single-handedly filed a deprivation of rights lawsuit against the city of East Grand Forks, which he lost. Timothy Holmseth stood up to multiple law firms and a U.S. attorney, and yet he skipped out on a misdemeanor trial. And this is what he says happened to Haley Cummings. She was a victim of satanic ritual abuse, sodomized. Oh, this is something different. He claims that this woman was a victim of satanic ritual abuse, sodomized as a child, locked in a coffin, stripped, trafficked in barges, hung on a cross, and witnessed infants beheaded during rituals. She sketched Timothy standing at the podium delivering his oral arguments. And, I don't know if Tim Holmseth made this up or this woman just came out of nowhere and she's as screwy as he is. But, the funny thing is people hang around with Tim who are just as delusional as he is. And somewhere on my timeline now is a story that was written by the Daily Beast. And it's actually two articles. And Tim Holmseth is right in the middle of it. And, well, he wrote the book. That's the book. Oh, I'm not on camera. This is the book. I mean, everything is in here about Haley Cummings. And he started out from day one going after the attorney. Making false charges, trying to get her disbarred, trying to get her killed, basically. And so did Phil McConnell. That's why Phil McConnell is in Florida awaiting trial, because he made death threats against the attorney. He got charged with felony stalking. He is extremely dangerous because he incites people to do things. He had a guy I've never met in my life so mad at me, the guy wanted to come down to Florida and beat me until I was dead. And a local guy, somebody that Tim personally knows. This is, when you go around on the internet claiming that somebody is a pedophile that rapes children and stuff, there's people that are, look at Portland. You got all these vigilantes going around. And, on both sides, but people get mad and they get violent. And all it takes is someone to get mad enough, and I'm going to be found dead in my car one of these days. Because that's the kind of people Tim Holmseth caters to. And, Randy Erickson gets on there saying, basically she's judge, jury, and executioner. She thinks everybody should be killed, even if they're accused of a crime. No due process, nothing. It's just, okay, you're a pedophile, you're gonna die. That's the kind of people these are. They're extremely dangerous. There's a guy who was chased around with a car full of kids, saying that the police want to kidnap him, and his daughter, in order to stop the chase, ran the car into a tree. And it turned out the guy had listened to Tim Holmseth on the radio, on Phil McConnell's show. And, two women tried to kidnap their own children on advice from Phil McConnell and people surrounding Tim Holmseth. And there's a idiot out in Idaho that has some kind of a legal thing that nobody understands that advises women to defy the law. And one of the latest thing that showed up on Patrick Henry's page is the thing that says don't answer the door if CPS calls. If you have the Second Amendment right to defend yourself, which basically means that some poor unarmed woman walks up to the front door of one of these women, they will probably get shot dead. This is the kind of thing these people put out there. They don't care that they're going to get somebody killed. They just want their philosophy out there, and they want the money pouring in from it. Because there is money changing hands. There's a lot of it. And this task force, this Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, is a fraud. It's a felony. It's a violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuses Act. It's wire fraud because these people are falsely claiming to be agents of the federal government. They're making money off it. And they can be, if the United States government gets pissed off enough, they can be thrown in jail for a very long time. The Joint Special Operations Task Force, which is an agency that's run out of a base 100 miles from my house, to bolster their claims. They've been reported to the federal government for the last several years, and I know for a fact that at least one government agency is investigating them right now. They just collecting evidence. Hi, firemen, welcome to the show. But the thing of it is until the government decides enough is enough and start putting the bracelets on these people, they're going to keep this up because they think they're getting away with it, and they're not. The government is monitoring everything. They monitor this channel. They monitor their channel. So they're keeping an eye on everything. And it's not going to be long before they get enough evidence and a prosecutor says, okay, let's have a grand jury hearing. Let's get some indictments out there and go and arrest these damn people and put a stop to this crap. It's coming eventually. Well, Daniel's right in there with the rest of these idiots. There's a whole bunch of them. It's all virtually all of them are tied to QAnon in one way or another. These are all extreme right sovereign citizen types that have joined together to create this mess, and everybody is making money hand over fist off of bullshit. Yeah. And Randy and Tim Holmseth, well, not anymore, but Randy and the rest of these people are bent out of shape because I talk about it. He can't. See, this is the thing. Nah. He tried it and failed. Timothy Charles Holmseth is what is known as a public figure. By claiming that he is an agent of the United States government and there's only one man between him and the United States, he has made himself a public figure. So any commentary I make or Dodger makes or anybody else makes is in the public interest. See, when you're a public figure, a lot of protections that would be granted to someone like you or me who's just ordinary people vanish. It's why people can say anything they want about Donald Trump and they can't be sued because he's a public figure. Anything that is said or commented on or opinions made about Donald J. Trump is in the matter of the public interest. There's nothing he can do. And it's the same for everybody. You really have to go out on a limb in order to be sued by a public figure. There has to be, and I have the proof in his very own words. If you go over on his blog, it's right there. He declares himself to be third in line to the President of the United States. He's claiming to be responsible for bringing down whatchamacallit that was charged. He's taking credit for a lot of things that are going on. He knows the answer as to what happened to Haley Cummins. He has the answer to what happened to Kaylee Anthony. He has the answer to what happened to John Benet Ramsey. He's got the answers to everything. He's this big award-winning reporter that has all these answers, has all this proof, but he can't show the proof because it's sealed by a federal judge or the PPTF won't release it. There's always an excuse, excuse me, of why he can't report this stuff. He's got the perfect cover is the super duper PPTF because he can claim, oh, it's this big secret agency. They're not going to reveal that everything is true. Nobody's going to confirm it. Yet he can go out there in the world and brag about this PPTF and doesn't have to prove it. He's got the perfect cover. And so do all these other people. Until the federal government comes in and said, oh no, you guys are breaking the law, you're going to jail. That is what'll stop it. But until then, these people have got the perfect excuse. Their audience is a bunch of gullible people. They have, these people are generally barely out of high school, if that, the vast majority of them. They're people in very, very desperate situations, usually mothers, that for one reason or another have gotten in trouble with child protection. And so they turn to these clowns and they worship them like gods. And and Randy and the rest of these people say, hey, yeah, come on in. We can rescue you. We'll send you off to Virginia, get you a fake passport, go get your kids. We'll send them overseas to where CPS can't touch you. And that's what they do. They did it to Cynthia Absug. Cynthia Absug is a classic case of how these people work. Now, how the story started with Cynthia Absug is she's a woman who used to live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. This is the funny thing. And she got permission to go to the state of Colorado because her son apparently had some illness. I can't remember if it was autism or what it was. So she goes up to, just outside of Denver, Colorado, takes the kid to a doctor. The doctor examines the kid, talks to her, and calls CPS and said, we think that the mother of this child has Munchausen by proxy and that she's making this kid sick in order to draw attention to herself. Well, CPS comes, talks to the woman, finds there's probable cause to temporarily place the child in foster care until a hearing to determine whether or not this woman actually has Munchausen by proxy. So rather than hang around and go through court, she gets on Facebook and starts saying all the stuff about her children have been kidnapped and blah, 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 blah. And Randy picks up on this, contacts the woman, says, we can help. We've got this guy in Plum City, Wisconsin that has ties to the U.S. government. I personally know a guy that investigates this stuff. He's an award-winning investigative reporter, and we can take care of your situation. So somehow the woman gets from the state of Colorado down to Plum City, Wisconsin. Talks on Field McConnell's show, all this stuff starts up. Somehow Cynthia Absug is given money. She drives to the state of Virginia, gets a passport, goes from Virginia down to Georgia, talks to somebody in Georgia, goes down to Ocala, Florida, which is an hour and a half north of my house, talks to Chris Hallett, who has this thing called E-Clause. It's supposed to be some kind of legal thing. It's not. Nobody's licensed to be an attorney. She goes out to Alabama, talks to this woman who puts her up in this ramshackle hotel. They're beginning to get a little concerned about everything. She's got this guy from Colorado with her who kind of is helping her out. They drive up to Nebraska, gets on a far-right radio show called Northwest Liberty News, which this guy thinks there's a big cabal of CPS running around stealing babies and all this. It's another one of these things. And then she's heading north from this radio station, is a half hour from the Canadian border, gets pulled over and arrested. It turns out her daughter in Colorado tells a counselor that her mother is probably going to kidnap her brother and take him out of the country. That she's had a man with a gun, living in her apartment, or living where she was living in Colorado. And that man was a guy that is associated with Phil McConnell. Phil McConnell gave the guy a gun, had the guy fly out to Colorado and basically stay with the woman for a while. And so now Cynthia Abzug is in prison in a suburb of Denver, Colorado, awaiting trial for 2 counts of attempted kidnapping. And this is what Tim Holmseth is responsible for, allegedly. And that is one of the trials where evidence has been put into the trial, which would likely have Tim Holmseth have to come to the state of Colorado to testify in that trial, along with Randy Lynn Erickson and some other people, including Phil McConnell. Because Phil McConnell can be charged to an accessory of attempted interstate kidnapping. And some of these people can be charged with an accessory to attempted kidnapping. So this is all one big blow-up going on. And, if you read the Daily Beast in the article that was written about them, it's in there. If they want, if Randy wants to sue anybody, she should sue the Daily Beast, because that's where all this information's coming from right now. Not coming from me. I can bring up the Daily Beast, and if she sues me, I can say, hey, this is where I got it from, this newspaper called the Daily Beast. They wrote 2 articles about it. Oh, what the hell is this? Got a thing, the High Command, too, 46 minutes ago. Never forgets, Craig Sawyer, President, Veterans for Child Rescue, did a video and mocked Timothy Charles Holmseth for reporting thousands of kids were locked in tunnels underground, many rescued by the U.S. Marines. Sawyer said Holmseth was lying, but the truth is coming. Craig. Now, this is the incident now where Tim claims that the U.S. Marines had to burn up half of California to take out all these tunnels, and that the earthquakes in California that have been out there were caused by the Marines blowing up the caves. So people got killed, lost all their possessions just so 35,000 kids could be rescued from a cave. This is the kind of stuff they put out there. These people are nuts. They're going around saying that half of one of the most populous states in the United States is being burned to the ground because of all these kids. Thanks for the promotion, Dodger. But this is this is another funny thing. Randy Erickson and Tim Holmseth tried to get me hooked up as being some associate of Craig Sawman Sawyer, and there is no association. Craig Sawyer's got me blocked. Because I'm not sure of Craig Sawyer either. Now, he's more believable than Tim Holmseth, but I don't know enough about him to make any judgment on him, so I'm not interested in Craig Sawyer. But they seem to think we're having some kind of bromance. You see crap all the time on these sites about where me and Craig Sawyer are supposed to have this big alliance. Craig Sawyer wants to get a hold of me. He knows how to do it. My email address is out there. Everybody has my email address. It's not that hard for him to find me, but he's not going to get a hold of me because he doesn't like me. He has no interest in talking to me. So that's another lie. It's what's interesting is they put stuff on their pages over on Facebook after my last live stream, and completely lied about it. And the people in this room know they lied about it. All they have to do is come in here and listen to my show, and they would see that they lied. Now, they got one thing partly right. I had said that I cannot afford a lawyer. but I have retained a lawyer. Now, anybody that has ever had experiences with a lawyer, or even any lawyer that might be happening to tune in the show, knows that you can retain a lawyer for $1. It's up to the lawyer to decide what they're going to charge. A lawyer could represent you as pro bono if they so choose. Pro bono means no charge, for free. Lawyers do that from time to time. Kim Picazio did that in the Haley Cummings case. She represented the biological mother of the child pro bono. She didn't charge a penny. She dumped her because she was a client from hell, but she represented her for free. And lawyers do that. It's part of a vow they make that they will handle a certain number of cases pro bono. Now, granted, most of the time they're criminal cases, but in my case, the lawyer that I am a friend of and have been for decades, and who I used when I was in business, said that he would handle the case pro bono. He's licensed in all 50 states and all territories to practice law. He's an expert in computer law and so forth. And if necessary, he would handle the case. And he signed a retainer. And he says, I will not charge you until I take the case, and we will figure something out as far as paying when the time comes. And I also said that if necessary, I will file the appropriate legal action if somebody tries to sue me or if this goes too far. And they said, oh, well, you know, you're on Social Security, you can't afford a lawyer, yet you said you retained a lawyer, and said I got caught in the big lie. And of course, that's ridiculous. I mean, there are idiots over there that are going to believe that because they don't know how lawyers work. So, what are you going to do? You know, they lie about everything. They took everything I said on this live stream, even though people were in here right now and saw what I said, saw what was written in the comment section, went over on Randy Erickson's account and on Patrick Henry's account and flat out lied. This is how they work. Because they know there's people that will not watch this channel that believe every word they say. You know, Randy, Lynn Erickson, and these other people are simply incapable of telling the truth. It's not in their vocabulary. And they're scared to death of this show. Now, I only have 20 viewers in here right now. Last stream I did, I averaged 10 to 15 because I had 21 and they all vanished after a while. And I dropped down to 10 or 15 people that hung around for the duration of the show. So, you know, that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with people that will not tell the truth. You know, they go out and they say that the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force has got a dossier on me. I'm going to be arrested any day. And they have said this since the beginning of this task force. And I told them, well, just let me know when the FBI, CIA, PPTF, and I'll have coffee and donuts waiting, you know. If the agent comes, let him know. Just let me know if he takes his coffee black, if he takes it with cream and sugar, if he prefers tea, sweetened or unsweetened. I'll have everything here. If they want donuts, I'll have donuts. We'll sit down, we'll have a nice little chat. And of course, nobody's going to show up. I mean, Timothy's threatened this against me for years. Back in 2010, he said the FBI is going to come and interview me, and they never showed up. I've given out the telephone number of the Lake County Sheriff's Department. I've given out the telephone number of the Orange County, Florida Police Sheriff's Department. I've given out the number of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Leesburg City Police Department. Nobody has called them. Nobody has called me. Not one. You know, so all these people that think I'm this big criminal, they don't call these people. They don't call law enforcement. They know better. They don't want to have their name on record as filing a criminal complaint because they know they'll probably see the inside of a courtroom. You know, and this stuff's been going on since 2009. This is 2020. So that's how long this has been going on. And he accuses all kinds of people. He had two people in Polk County, Minnesota, that were kind enough to go to his apartment, take all his personal belongings, put them in storage, took his car, put it in storage, risking getting arrested for aiding and abetting a fugitive from law. And they get paid back by being accused of being pedophiles and operatives for Hillary Clinton. He turned on two of his best friends, people that had sat in the courtroom during some of his trials, people that supported him, people that believed in him. And on the word of Randy L. Erickson, he turned against them. One of them had a power of attorney, and Randy Erickson made sure that was taken away. She took over as power of attorney for all of Tim's affairs, and she is his handler. She gave him thousands of dollars. She paid to get his first car repaired, and when that thing blew up because Tim wasn't taking care of it, she went out and bought him another one. And she's admitted it on the air. You know, she's bankrolling Tim for thousands upon thousands of dollars. Tim is not capable of getting these things on his own. He has to have money handed to him by others. And that's why I feel that if somebody cuts off the funds to Tim Holmseth, he's going to wind up dead. Because without help, he can't survive. And I think that's what's happened. I think that he's gotten cut off or something's happened. And he's got a cinder block tied around his feet at the bottom of a lake someplace. Because there's 1,000 lakes in Minnesota. And there's plenty of lakes in Wisconsin. So there's, and these states have a lot of wooded areas. Millions of woods. So it wouldn't be too hard to dispose of a body. And the car, the car's registered in somebody else's name, so. So that, this is that there is a high probability that Tim Holmseth is no longer among the living. If he shows up and I'm wrong, then so be it. But that's, unlikely. Because, any material that shows up on the internet is going to be analyzed. No, the last video that Tim Holmseth made from his car was back in May or July. So it has been July. The latest video that came up of Tim in a car is a rebroadcast of an old video he made months ago. There has been nothing current from Tim Holmseth in at least the last 2 months and longer. I would have to go back through my archives to know the exact date, but I do know that the last video of him on the internet is not current. They rebroadcast things that he made years ago, and if you go back, it's easily proven. You go back and anything he said about recordings and stuff, that's stuff that's 5-10 years old. He plays the same stuff all over again and just revises it. And now it's being done in his name because the people are not, you got people writing, no, Patrick Henry, I did not admit that he's one man away from Donald J. Trump. You really need to get a hearing aid. What I said was that he claims to be one man away from the President of the United States, and if he is one man from the President of the United States. He cannot sue for defamation of character. He cannot file DMCA complaints because he is a public figure. And everything he says and does is subject to the public interest. Now, yeah, this is what got put up over on the Patrick Henry Facebook page. So 12 minutes ago, Patrick Henry was in here lurking this page. You know, and what Patrick Henry might want to do is when this show gets put up, which will be, you know, once I sign off and YouTube process it, it goes up and it does not get edited. So it's in there. Well, it's funny that they use Patrick Henry because Patrick Henry would not put up with the kind of crap that they do in his name. But people in these rooms are scared to use their real name. You know, I use my real name. I don't hide behind fake usernames. Everything I put up on the internet, everybody knows is from me. They don't have to guess who is Patrick Henry. Is it this person, that person, or that person? They know who I am. And this is why, you know, anybody can speculate about who Patrick Henry is, but they can't prove who Patrick Henry is unless Patrick Henry files a DMCA. But, you know, they've done this a second night in a row. They did it with this lawyer thing. They said that I lied about that. Now, this thing got put up on Patrick Henry. And the problem with this is they're saying that Tim Holmseth did this. But there's nothing that can prove it came from Tim Holmseth. It's not in his blog. It's not on his Facebook page. It's on Patrick Henry. And this is what I'm talking about. And, you know, they're saying do not answer the door for anyone who does not have your prior permission to be at your house, period. So they're basically saying that if a CPS person shows up at your door wanting to talk to you about somebody seeing you beating the crap out of your child, not to let them in. And that's not, you know, that's really going to help these people out. You know, they give these stupid pieces of advice that are going to get people in trouble. This is the kind of advice that was given to Cynthia Absug, and look what happened to her. And this happens all the time. There was a woman who the cops visited the house with a warrant, and she showed him a piece of paper from Kirk Pendergrass. The cops looked at it, threw it on the ground, and the arrest was made. Yeah, so, you know, these people just don't understand and don't care that those who follow this advice are going to wind up in more serious trouble than they were if they had just followed the rules. But I get the biggest kick out of this Patrick Henry account. Yeah, so, you know, Patrick Henry, you need to get a hearing aid. You need to get glasses, something. Because, yeah, what's funny is Patrick Henry is using an old picture. This is a live stream that I made a long time ago. But I guess I got to make it clear once again. Timothy Charles Holmseth is not one person away from the President of the United States. Donald Trump doesn't know that Timothy Charles Holmseth exists. The Pentagon Pedophile Task Force is a fraud. Period. Now you can put that over on your Facebook page, Patrick Henry, because that's the declaration. And once again, I'm going to say, because Randy Lynn Erickson, Timothy Charles Holmseth, and these other people declare that they are part of the United States government with this Pentagon Pedophile Task Force and the Joint Special Operations Command, they have made themselves public figures, and everything they say and do is a matter of public interest. Even if Randy goes out and sells a house, that's a matter of public interest because she could be getting money laundered through the sales or stuff like that. Everything she does is a matter of public interest, period. And it goes for everyone else associated with these people. They have put themselves there. This is a disadvantage of being a public figure. You lose the protections in the case of libel, defamation of character, and slander when you become a public figure. Because the bar is raised much higher in order to prevail in these cases. Because you have to have the foundation of evidence is much, much, much higher. And so basically Randy and the others have shot themselves in the foot. And by her own declaration, she made a declaration that this is the case. She called, yep, they started, the cartoons have started back up. See, this is the thing. Every time I challenge Patrick Henry, rather than debate the issue, Randy goes back to what Monoxide, Radio News, and these other people fabricated about me, and they put them up on the Patrick Henry page and on Timothy Holmseth's page, and they're doing it again. Because Patrick Henry has nothing to stand on. She has absolutely nothing. And so the only thing that she can do is recycle the same old garbage to try and scare me off and to scare people off. Now the problem with, she put up this old YouTube video that a stalker did of me. And I'm going to put this over here. Because all this is, this is what's funny about this. This YouTube video was made on June 18th, 2009. And Nan, you probably remember this because you know who started this. But what I'm going to do is I am going to put the link to the video in my room so you people can see. This is how someone who is supposed to be a representative of the United States government answers to a public inquiry as to whether or not somebody is dead or alive. Now, this is the video. Now, what this person, what Patrick Henry is saying is it is against the law in the state of Florida to tuck in your shirt. Because this is what I was doing. I was tucking in my shirt. If that's even me. That's a very fuzzy picture. Out of focus. It's a few seconds, 18 seconds long. And I don't know what this is supposed to prove. This was a ceremony that a reverend made that after we had found out that Kaylee Anthony was dead. They went over to Blanchard Park and they had a religious ceremony. And so this particular recording is one of these things that this Patrick Henry puts up all the time. And it's and it's called gaslighting. It's basically trying to, you're humiliating your opponent into being silenced. And, well, this is a day ago. Okay, let me recycle this. But, I'm scrolling down now. Alright, to show you how desperate these people are. This channel right now has 17 people viewing it. And one of these people, or two of these people, Yeah, that was Reverend Grund. One of these people, two of these people, are likely someone from the Holmseth camp. And she immediately went over, sucked this vehicle or this video out of archive and put it up. They do this every single. If you study the picture, there's a person with a kind of like a striped shirt in between. In the foreground, you have 1, 2, 3 people. These are people from Texas Equisearch. And I'm supposed to be in the foreground, and I am tucking in my shirt. Now, why somebody tucking in their shirt is of such importance, I don't know. They don't explain the picture, they just put it up there. And I guess you're supposed to use your imagination and figure out what the picture is. But that's all it is. It's an 18-second video of me tucking in my shirt. So, yeah, the title, yeah, it says live butt prick. Now, how do you derive that from a out of focus picture? They couldn't even put the picture in focus, because if it did, it would be obvious that I was tucking in my shirt. Now, I know the photographer that took this picture, and I talked to him about this video, and he laughed because he knew exactly what was going on. But the person who originally made this video couldn't even make a clear copy of it. They deliberately put the picture out of focus so people would get a false impression of what's in the video. If you could, number one, you could put the picture in focus, and with video editing software, you could zoom in to that picture, because I do it all the time when I edit video, and it would have been clear what was going on there. But they wanted to create a false narrative, so they deliberately put the picture up there out of focus. And so, that it's another one of these anonymous people that never identified themselves, and it was more than likely Monoxide on one of his fake accounts. And Monoxide is from 4chan, and of course 4chan is the birthplace of QAnon. And of course, Patrick Henry has put up a Photoshop picture of Levi Page on Variety, which shows that Patrick Henry is an expert in creating false Photoshopped software. She can make fake software. Yeah, he went to, what he did is he put a link to child pornography on the chat site run by Leonard Padilla. And he also made phone calls to Leonard Padilla using soundboard, and got Leonard Padilla all pissed off. And those phone calls are illegal. But he got into a lot of trouble. There's a couple things he did wrong, and so he got put in prison. He's prohibited from being on the internet as part of his probation. So they threw the book at him. And Tim Holmseth and people around him don't care that a convicted pedophile is responsible for this gaslighting. They are trying to scare me off the internet. And the one thing is, you look at this thing by Patrick Henry where they're complaining that people called on Tim Holmseth to try and get him fired. Well, they're doing the same damn thing, because they're putting this stuff up on the internet, making it so I can't get a job. If Donald Trump succeeds in cutting off Social Security, I'm going to be living on the street, because Social Security is the only way I'm surviving right now. Yeah, it's 20 minutes ago. Because, yeah, I'll link it into the room. This was 14 minutes ago this went up. So Patrick Henry is once again gaslighting Levi Page. Because Levi Page and I and Kim are Tim's targets, Randy Erickson's targets. Randy Erickson recycles stuff about Tim, or about Kim Picasio, almost on a daily basis. She's cut back on it a little bit, but she still does, she does it. And she uses these fake accounts to try and get away with it. Because she knows that it's going to take a lot of legal hoop jumping to get the information out of YouTube. And it's why she made the colossal mistake of countering the DMC complaint against Levi Page, because she just identified herself as being behind the task force and the YouTube channel. So we know that Randy Lynn Erickson of Elk River, Wisconsin, is behind at least 2 of the social media accounts attacking everybody. Let's see, she put me up there again. Now what? Yep. Okay, yeah. See, I'm going to put this over in the room because, Patrick Henry thinks I'm trying to hide all this, and that's wrong. I'm going to put this over because I want you people to see the kind of stuff that's being written about me. That's false information, misleading information, and it's being put up by people that want me off the air. And I've challenged Patrick Henry and these other people to call. In the Trenton Duckett case, it's the Leesburg City Police Department. Leesburg City Police Department is in Lake County, Florida. I lived in Lake County, Florida, so go and call Lake County, Florida. I currently live in Orange County, Florida. Go call Orange County, Florida. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement Office has jurisdiction in the state of Florida. Call the Department of Law Enforcement. There's an FBI field office in Maitland, Florida that has jurisdiction where I live. Call the FBI. Nobody will do it. Patrick Henry won't do it. And this is, I don't know how many times I've made this challenge. I made the same challenge for the last 10 years. Nobody will do it. So instead of answering my charge that Timothy Charles Holmseth is not alive, Patrick Henry attacks me on Facebook. Now, Nod, you were around when all this went down. You know exactly what happened in all these links that are in here. You know the background of what happened. You know why things happened. And so there you are. This is the thing. We have a person in this room who was around when all this was going on. Nan was with me almost from the beginning. She knows exactly what happened and why. She knows about Tinkerbell. She knows about Nana NC. And Nana NC fought like hell to get Nan taken off my Pal Talk because she didn't like Nan's way of dressing. She didn't like Nan's politics. And so everybody tried to get rid of Nan on my Pal Talk. Mert is all out of bubblegum. Well, I'm supposed to have bad teeth, so it's kind of hard to chew bubblegum. What I need is Pepsi. But, But you see, Patrick Henry has nothing. Absolutely nothing. She has no proof. And so in order to try and divert, she attacks me with this Same stuff. This happens every single time. I expect the cartoons to come up next. You know, because they do the same thing over and over and over again. It's a pattern with these people. They can't come up with anything new because they don't have an argument. They go back 2008, 2009, 2010. And this is the thing. They put up this link about Channel 6 News. You go to the link, which is this one here, this is what you come up with. Channel 6 News, after they talked to me a second time, took this down. But they don't say that. They don't say that, well, when Channel 6 realized that what they did was a mistake, they took the link down. Here's the second link to WKMG. This is all the proof, you know. They come up with all this proof, and they put the links up. And guess what? Nothing is there. You call the station, they'll tell you. They say the material's not available. We took it down. And why did they take it down? Because they found out that they were being misled. You know, and Patrick Henry isn't going to tell you that these are broken links. Yeah, go to the links. Click Orlando. There's 2 separate links. Nothing is there. Explain that, Patrick Henry. Explain why everything you say in your so-called transcript is not on Channel 6's radar. Channel 6 is no friend of mine. I don't like Mike DeForest because he deceived me. He was biased against me from the start, which is what Tim Holmseth claims about the media, by the way. And he has tried to apologize. And I won't accept it. I said, DeForest, you're not a legitimate reporter in my book. I say, you have never followed up on, I told you time and again, I gave you the links of who was doing this, and you refused to update. You know, you caused everything that's happened to me, you know my true background, and this is how I'm treated. And so, okay, now here we go. Patrick Henry's lying once again. You know, I wish someone would get a hold of Craig Sawyer and ask him to comment on this. Because he's, you know, Patrick Henry is associating me with Craig Sawyer. And one thing is Craig Sawyer can use this in his lawsuit because this is defamation of character, slander, and so on. This is false information. You know, this is fake news. By putting this material up, they are defaming Greg Sawyer. They are making a snide accusation against Craig Sawyer. And that is just feeding into the defamation lawsuit that Craig Sawyer has against these people in the state of Ohio. And what Randy Erickson doesn't seem to understand is that every time that Patrick Henry puts one of these posts up, this starts the statute of limitation all over again. All right, you know, there's a statute of limitations when it comes to a civil lawsuit. You have so much time to sue somebody. But if the defendant keeps putting up stuff, it starts the clock all over again. So what these people, every time they put up something that connects Craig Sawyer to this narrative, they're building the foundation of evidence against them, and they're stopping the clock on the statute of limitations and starting it all over again. So they're just keeping the defamation lawsuit that Craig Sawyer has filed right now opened. So that if Craig Sawyer decides to go ahead with his legal action, he can bring all this stuff into court, subpoena Facebook for the identification of this Patrick Henry, and we're off to the races. And if Randy Erickson puts this on her account, she's a codependent. So these people are not too bright. You know, they must think Craig Sawyer is going to sit back and not sue them. But this is a class action lawsuit. There's about 3 or 4 different people that are suing, that are plaintiffs in a class action suit against Randy Erickson, Timothy Holmseth, and others. Craig Sawyer is a guy that I believe he's in Arizona, and he does child, you know, he's into this looking for missing, kidnapped, and exploiting children. And Timothy Holmseth and this crowd are jealous of him because he's actually gotten publicity for it, and they've been attacking him. Now, I don't know anything about Craig Sawyer. I don't care about Craig Sawyer. You can Google him. He's Craig Sawman Sawyer. They accuse him of operating with Hillary. They even are against John McCain, who's a Republican, simply because John McCain disagrees with policies of Trump. You know, he voted to retain the Affordable Care Act and stuff like that, so people are mad at John McCain. Trump is mad at John McCain, and so the rest is history. I don't know if he designed shoes or not. But Sawman, you know, all these people in the military, they have their little nicknames that they have, and Sawman apparently was his, is what I've been able to put together. But, you know, this is just kind of bullshit that is out there. You know, they're grasping at straws. So, you know, eventually Patrick Henry will put something else up. You know, this just goes on and on. This gets repeated every single time I go on the air. What does Filthy Mert transport in an airplane? What did Filthy Mert transport in semi-trucks? So here we go. Yeah, what I'm trying to figure out is how does where does airplanes come into this? Well, you see, they're grasping at straws. What did Filthy Mert transport in semi-trucks? Cars. I mean, this is, you know, yeah, it's funny, yeah. And they're just, you know, Patrick Henry is sticking herself in a noose. Because if I ever decide to, I can sue for a boatload of money. You know, and so just keep building this stuff up, people. I have got to go and get a Pepsi. I will be right back. Yeah, sugar. Wonder how that. Yeah, I turned the monitor off. See, I get an echo in my headphones because it monitors myself when the desktop is on, so I had to zip it. Well, yeah, I don't know where Patrick Henry came up with the airplane thing. I have a hunch, but I'm going to let that go. Um, but, it's the implication that's there. But I don't have a pilot's license, so I don't own my own airplane, so I don't know how, and I don't know what I would be transporting on, say, Southwest Airlines or American Airlines or Delta Airlines or United Airlines or what have you. See, Patrick Henry's just making this crap up out of thin air. No, that's not going to work because you can't get cocaine on aircraft. They have stuff. Yeah, I know you're just kidding, Don, but I'm just trying to answer a question before it comes up. Yeah, it's just Patrick Henry's just throwing bullshit out there because that's all she has. So, and it's the filthy Mert thing is. Did I link that into the room? I'm going to link this. I don't know if I linked it or not. If I did, you're just going to get. Yeah, what I get a kick out of is they're using a previous night's live stream. As a matter of fact, they're using a really old one because that's back when I had the flag background. So that's the airplane one. So. Craig Sawyer committed interstate wire fraud. He lied to the world and said he was going to attract children from sex slavery. After he got busted by Timothy Charles Holmseth, he tried to change. All right, see, this is what. See, now they're switching over to Craig Sawyer, and so. It's up to Craig Sawyer what he wants to do about this one. But this, I don't know. I don't know if Randy Erickson and Mary Lee ever knew each other. I wouldn't put it past him because Randy Erickson wants complete control over Tim Holmseth. She doesn't want anybody else. That's why she went after Chad Cater and Tom Morrissey, because she didn't want those two anywhere near Tim. Her goal was to completely isolate Tim, to have him under her control. That's what's alleged. But so Patrick Henry's back on Craig Sawyer for a while. But again, this is stuff that's not current. Holmseth is out of the picture, presumed dead. So it's these surrogates that are continuing the narrative. Rebecca Thomas. That name rings a bell for some reason. But, I would like to see that when it comes out. Well, I don't mind answering questions of seriously investigating, because, I'm not going to censor anybody, even if task force comes in here, because I don't hide. Unlike Tim Holmseth and these other people, I don't hide. I don't hide behind fake names. I don't evade. I don't do any of it. I'm an open book. It's up to people to decide for themselves what they want to believe. And if people want to believe Patrick Henry and some of the BS that's out there, then, it's, nothing I can do about it. Except if the right time comes, there are stuff that can be done about it. So, yeah, they are accusing, Patrick Henry is accusing Greg Sawyer of committing interstate wire fraud. So, if Tim Holmseth has the balls to back up his contention, he can go to court. Well, seriously, again, I would, if you would not mind, I would like to have a link to that article when it comes out. You can drop it in the comment section on this video, or else if you have access to my Twitter account, you can there, or you can send it to my email, which is that's, people can write to that email account. Well, surprise. Patrick Henry's up later than usual. Yeah. But, it's... I have said before, I have no dog in the fight when it comes to Craig Sawyer. I don't care about Craig Sawyer. And, that's the same thing with Phil McConnell. I really don't care about Phil McConnell at all. The only reason that he is of interest is because it's a case in the state of Florida, and I have the capability of live streaming in the state of Florida. I'm getting very close to my 1,000 benchmark, and when I reach that, I will be capable of live streaming mobile through my phone from Florida, anywhere in the state of Florida or anywhere in the country. Tim Holmseth has not posted anything in his name since August 6th. He the only thing that you see on any of Tim Holmseth's social media is people using their bylines. So one has to assume that something has happened to Tim Holmseth. And since it is very unusual for Tim Holmseth to be out of the public eye on social media, one of the possibilities that one has to assume is that Tim Holmseth is no longer alive. He has claimed, and Patrick Henry has claimed, that he has been poisoned 4 times by what they believe is ricin. And ricin is a very deadly, dangerous poison. There is no antidote for ricin. And once you get poisoned by ricin, the damage is permanent. There's permanent damage, and if you've been poisoned 4 times, then it's a cumulative thing. People need to research ricin and learn how dangerous the substance is. There's a Russian dissident in a German hospital at this very moment in a coma, and it is suspected he was poisoned with ricin. Now, this may be what happened to Tim Holmseth. He could be in a safe house someplace in a coma because he was poisoned with ricin. Yeah, R-I-C-I-N, ricin. That's what he claims to have been poisoned with. Or what Patrick Henry says he was poisoned with. So, when you get people going on the internet and saying that they may have been poisoned by ricin, and that the Vice President of the United States tried to kill him, then one can speculate that somebody has succeeded in killing him and he's no longer alive. Or at the very least, he is incapacitated to some extent. And he could be out of circulation permanently. And hopefully, we will never hear from Tim Holmseth again. We'll just have to put up with the surrogates until people say, hey, something ain't right here. Tim Holmseth isn't around anymore. If anybody goes around and claims that Tim Holmseth is under a different name, that's not going to wash, because that's not proof. Anybody can make that claim. You can make up a name on Twitter and say it's me. It's been done. People have accused me of making sock accounts. And I don't make sock accounts because it's easy to prove who is behind the sock account. It happened to Randy, and it happened to Radio News. They got caught. Randy outed herself because she disputed a takedown notice and had to put her real name up there as the operator of that channel. So everybody knows that Randy Lynn Erickson is task force, both on Twitter and on YouTube. And she's probably task force 2 or the high command, which runs this Joint Special Operations Command, which is impersonating a government agency, and that is a felony. So, I can confirm that. Me and Kim Picasio fought like pit bulls in a dogfight. We were at each other's throat. And strangely enough, it was because I was defending Timothy Holmseth at one time. And then it was because there were sock accounts out there pretending to be me and people allied with me, and Kim Picasio was blaming me for all this. And so we went at it for a while until finally Kim found out that we had both been played. That it was Radio News and people on her blog and Twitter account that were behind all this. Radio News exposed. Radio News is no longer on the internet. And I got into big arguments with Levi Page. There's a lot of people that I used to argue with, because when people lie about me and gaslight me, I'm not going to put up with it. So Levi Page and I fought. Kim Picasio and I fought. Alexander Goddard and I fought. And there's a number of other people that we fought each other for the same reason that's going on now with Tim Holmseth. I was getting falsely accused of all kinds of crap. And a lot of the stuff that's being used by Tim Holmseth and his proxy, Patrick Henry, came from those fights. And Tim Holmseth doesn't want to admit that. Patrick Henry doesn't want to admit it. Randy Erickson doesn't want to admit it. Because then they would have to admit that this stuff is all fabricated. And there is a guy you should look at. His name is Joshua Wayne Melton. He went by the handle Monoxide, MMAC, and he came from 4chan. And Joshua Melton is the one who created all the telephone calls that were made to me. The cartoons came from a person who goes by Eyes on Joy. I'm not absolutely certain who that is. It may have been radio. Kim Bocasio is a tough adversary. She is like me. She will defend herself to the ends of the earth. And we did. We fought hard and heavy. She was a tough opponent, but in the end, when we both realized that we're being played for fools, we came together. And Kim Bocasio is the first person that will admit that she's either wrong or been misled when the evidence is there. So yes, we had bitter fights, and she was a very tough opponent. Do I think Tim Holmseth has a juvenile record? It's possible. And the reason I say it's possible, this is Tim Holmseth's book. And in this book, he admits to being an arsonist. He admits to setting fires, and he did this as a child. Now, if you go and check the police blotter back around the time that Tim Holmseth was, say, eight years old up to teenagers, there are a number of unsolved arson cases on the books in that county. Tim Holmseth was also charged a couple of times with trespassing. There's a police record of Tim Holmseth being charged with criminal trespass. And so, why was he charged with trespassing? That never came out. But if you go back and check, you can find that out. Do you think Tim is involved with baby sales? Absolutely not. I think that's false. I think that's just another one of Tim Holmseth's fantasy. Kim Bocasio is a very well-known attorney. She's good at what she does. She is not going to blow her career over something stupid like that. And it's Tim Holmseth that has perpetuated this rumor since back when the Haley Cummins case came about. And the reason Tim Holmseth attacks Kim Bocasio is because she told Tim to go away. He wanted the inside track in the case. He wanted to be involved in the efforts in the Cummings case, and Kim Bocasio said, no, we're not interested. We don't need your help. We don't want you to bother us. Leave us alone. That's the reason Kim Bocasio took out the court order, because Tim would not leave her alone. He went from trying to help in the case to making Kim Bocasio suspect number one, and he has been attacking her ever since. And now he's got Randy Lynn Erickson and other people doing the same thing. Now, Randy Erickson has never met Kim Bocasio. She's never talked to Kim Bocasio. She just believes everything Tim Holmseth says. And she has poured thousands of dollars into Tim for this narrative. I don't know what she thought she was going to get out of it. She's literally thrown money away because she's gotten involved in this nonsense. But that's what it is. It's easy for someone to go out and make an accusation, but proving that accusation is something different. Tim has never been to the state of Florida, ever. Seriously investigating? I don't know. Kathy Miracle is probably one of the staunchest supporters of Phil McConnell there is. She's 100% loyal. She's going to do anything she possibly can to help him get out of the trouble he's in. I would suspect that she doesn't like Tim Holmseth, because Tim Holmseth is the one that got Field into this mess in the first place. If it had not been for Tim Holmseth, Field McConnell would not be sitting in his son's house in Jupiter, Florida, awaiting trial. You know, the guy's under house arrest. He's got a GPS bracelet on there. He can't do anything without talking to the monitor in charge of his case. He's basically confined to a gilded cage until the trial. And that could be another 2, 3, 4 months. And Field McConnell is in one of the areas where the coronavirus is spreading like wildfire. So even though he's in his son's house, he is in danger of getting the coronavirus. You know, whereas if he was up in Palm City, Minnesota, he probably would be safe. Moderate, that's entirely possible. But see, here's the problem with these people. This show is recorded. It goes to YouTube. If they make a false claim, all anybody has to do is come back here, listen to it all, and they're going to realize that this chat has been tampered with. This is the this is why I do this. I put this chat up, and I put the stream up. It gets recorded automatically and put on YouTube. I do not edit a second of the video. Not 1 second. So if they go and string together, splice things about where they say I said this or said that, all people have to do is come in here and listen for themselves. And they've been caught lying before. This is why I put the links to things they accuse me of in this room. So people can say, hey, I was in here last night. I heard this. He didn't say that. He said this. Or they left this out. This is called a lie by omission. And, you know, it's deception. And it's, you know, it's done all the time. Tim Holmseth has accused people of doing the same thing. Okay, Dodger, thank you for coming in. I look forward to any videos you decide to make. You know, this is the one thing. You cannot hide from the truth. You can lie and lie and lie and get away with it, but eventually the truth comes out. And then you're stuck. You know, you're sitting there trying to say, oh my God, how, you know, they caught me. I said this. How am I going to wiggle out of it? But when you got the original material where it's in context, they can't attack you. Because if you want the truth, if you're looking for the truth, they're going to get you. You got the name a little bit wrong. Seriously watching. Her name was Nana NC, Nananc, because she's from North Carolina. And I doubt that Nana is on the internet anymore. The last I knew, she was retired. She's down here in Florida. And she's basically walked away from it. And I'm not going to get into specifics as to why, but I think she just decided that it's time for her to move on. She's retired. She's, you know, she's fairly old. She's older than me. And I think she just is enjoying her retirement. And, you know, I haven't heard anything about Nana NC in years. Now, Nana NC was my administrator. And if you know the story, Moderate, what happened was, the story came out that there was a moderator on Web Sleuths who was discovered to be an unregistered sex offender. She had confessed to 4 charges of lewd acts in the presence of a minor. In this case, 2 minors. And basically what had happened is her and her then husband had sex on a kitchen table in the presence with the children. The father then had the child take a picture of the woman's sex organ, and these brainiacs used a disposable camera, took a whole bunch of pictures, and they were developed. And to interrupt, yeah, I'd be nice to her. Yeah, because I don't hold grudges. I would just say, Nana, I hope things are better for you. I hope you've moved along and understand the mistake you made. You know, but Nana has moved on. I haven't heard a word from her or about her, and so you know, there's no point in doing anything other than tell the truth about how she got involved. Anyway, getting back to what happened. So anyway, they take all these pictures. It was alleged that the father molested one of the children, but they took they did a real brilliant thing, because people say, well, how the hell did the cops find out about this? Well, they took this disposable camera to a Walgreens, or like one, you know, just Walgreens or a local store 5 miles from the house, and had the film development. This was back in the days when people didn't use digital cameras all the time. They used these little Kodak disposable cameras.